The woman in diamonds scolds black photographer at charity gala until her photo appears on Forbes cover. They didn't ask for his name. They asked who invited him to Seth and motioned for security. Andre wasn't surprised. Not really. Not when the room was wallpapered in tuxedos, accented with pearls, and dripping in entitlement. He'd learned a long time ago that the camera around his neck didn't make him invisible, it made him suspect. Tonight just confirmed the math. He adjusted his lens, focused on the stage, and tried to tune out the buzz of whispered glances. It was the same routine: frame, focus, shoot, shift, stay light on his feet, stay out of the way, blend, until she turned. The woman sparkled like she'd been dipped in moonlight. Her dress was a navy silk that clung to her like pedigree. Her necklace, teardrop-shaped arrangement of diamonds, looked like it could buy a Tesla fleet. She wasn't just wealthy. She was used to being the wealthiest in any room. And she was walking straight toward him. What's your name?" she asked, her voice calm, but cold. "Andre Collins, ma'am. Event photographer." Her lips curved, just slightly. Not a smile. Not really. More like the memory of one. "And who exactly hired you?" He kept his voice even. "The Gala board. You can check with Marjorie." Her eyes scanned him, then the name badge, then back to him. "I don't think I've seen you before. First year covering this event." Thought so." She looked at the camera. "Make sure you don't point that at me unless I say so. We're trying to keep the photos tasteful this year." He could have said 1,000 things. Could have reminded her he wasn't paparazzi, that his shots were curated, edited, and approved. But he didn't. He just nodded. "Yes, ma'am." She disappeared into the crowd, swallowed back into the sea of applause as the evening's honorees were called up one by one. Andre kept working. Light bounced. Wine spilled. People laughed too loudly. He captured it all. But then she laughed. The woman in diamonds. It was sudden, full-bodied, and wild. A real laugh. Not posed. Not filtered. Cracked across the ballroom and turned heads. And Andre instinctively raised his camera. Click. The flash was soft. The timing perfect. Behind her, blurred lights, dancing glasses, and a halo of chandeliers. Her smile was open, honest, alive. It was the best shot of the night. He saved it quietly, didn't even tag her name. Just labeled it, Frame 127. He packed up around midnight. No one said goodbye. No one asked for his card. He didn't expect them to. For days later, Forbes emailed. They'd seen the Gala collection through the charity's media team and wanted permission to license one of the shots, his shot, for their upcoming feature on American philanthropy and performative wealth. Andre said yes. They paid him full editorial rate, then extra for the cover. He didn't know until the magazine dropped 2 weeks later that it was her, the woman in diamonds, caught mid-laugh, radiant, unguarded. A photo that made her seem human, even likable. The irony burned. By noon, the story was everywhere. The woman in diamonds goes viral, but not for charity. Photographer behind iconic cover breaks his silence on Gala racism. Forbes apologizes to black photographer after cover star's comments surface. Because someone had filmed their little speech to him near the stage. It hadn't gone viral yet, but it was out there. Enough to turn her polished image into a punchline. On Twitter, people drew battle lines. "This is why representation matters." She tried to humiliate him. He made her famous. The camera sees more than money ever can. Andre stayed silent. He didn't tweet, didn't do interviews. Instead, he framed the Forbes cover and set it beside a photo of his dad, also a photographer, who once told him, "Shoot with your heart, but armor your skin." That week, he booked more work than in the past 3 months combined. Not because they suddenly respected him, but because now they knew his name. Andre didn't check his messages for 3 days. By the time he did, there were 143 unread emails. 5 were from Forbes. 2 were from the Today Show. 1 was from the woman in diamonds. Subject: a conversation? He didn't open it. Instead, he sat on his worn couch, drank cold coffee, and stared at the framed magazine cover. In the photo, she looked powerful, glowing, timeless. No one would ever guess she'd tried to humiliate him, that she saw him as a shadow with a camera, that she told him not to capture her unless invited. Well, the world invited her now. His best friend, Caleb, showed up unannounced. "You really gonna ignore all this?" Caleb said, holding up his phone. "Bro, she's trending. You're trending. That picture is in Times Square, for God's sake." Andre shrugged. "Yeah, and what do you mean, and? They want to hear from you. They didn't before. You're not gonna post anything?" Andre shook his head. "You're just gonna let her keep the spotlight? I already gave her the cover. That's enough." Caleb stared at him, mouth slightly open. "You're serious?" Andre stood. "I don't need a microphone to be loud." But as the days passed, the noise didn't fade. It swelled. Journalists dug up the woman's past, her donations, her board memberships, her old interviews. One clip resurfaced from a 2019 panel where she referred to diversity initiatives as a distraction from excellence. Andre didn't retweet it, but others did. Commentators started using terms like symbolic whiteness and philanthropic elitism. Think pieces appeared overnight. Headlines like, "When a smile isn't consent, the power of candid imagery," "Black labor, white recognition," "A tale as old as photography." Forbes missed the real story, but the internet didn't. Eventually, the Gala organization issued a statement. Polite, neutral, carefully worded. They said they deeply value diversity, that they regret any misunderstandings, and that they were reviewing internal protocols. Andre read it twice. He didn't laugh. He just closed his laptop. The next week, a package arrived. No return address, just his name written in elegant script. Inside, a handwritten letter and a black velvet box. The letter was short. "Mr. Collins, you've changed the way the world sees me. I'd like to understand the way you see the world. Would you consider meeting for coffee? I owe you more than words. Genevieve Alcott." The name rang like a luxury brand. Of course that was her name. Genevieve. Of course. Andre almost threw it out. Then he opened the box. Inside was a camera lens. A Leica APO Summicron 50mm. Retail, nearly $9,000. He held it in his hand. It was pristine, lightweight, deadly sharp. He set it on the table and walked away. 3 days passed. Then he emailed back. They met in a small cafe on the Upper East Side. No cameras, no assistants, just the two of them, and the silence of the space between what had happened and what could still happen. Genevieve wore a dark blazer. No diamonds, no makeup. She looked smaller than in the photo, older, tired. "Thank you for coming," she said. Andre nodded. "You didn't have to." "No," he said. "I didn't." She folded her hands on the table. "You've made me famous in a way I never imagined." "You were already famous." "Yes," she admitted. "But now people see through me." He waited. "I want to apologize," she said. "Not just for what I said to you, but for how reflexive it was. I didn't think. I assumed. I treated you like you didn't belong." He raised an eyebrow. "And now that I've made you look good, I do belong?" She flinched just slightly, but she didn't deny it. "I came here because I need to ask you something," she said. Andre tilted his head. "What's that?" "I'm stepping down from the board, publicly, and I'd like to announce a new initiative, a grant, for underrepresented photographers. Your name would be attached. I'd fund it. You'd curate it. We'd give away real money, real gear, real mentorship." He blinked. "That's a pivot." "It's a start," she said. "I can't undo what I did, but I can reroute the energy it created." Andre studied her. "You think a grant makes up for years of that kind of behavior?" "No," she said. "But silence won't either." They sat there, the air between them thick with everything unsaid. Andre looked out the window. Outside, a young black kid was taking photos of pigeons with a cracked phone screen. smiling, framing, seeing the world in his own way. He turned back. "I'll think about it." Genevieve nodded. "That's fair. And one condition. Name it." "I choose the name." She smiled. "And what would you call it?" Andre didn't hesitate. "Frame 127. Her eyes softened. "I hope you know it really is a beautiful photo." Andre leaned forward. "It was never about beauty. It was about the moment. And in that moment you were human. Which is more than you gave me when I stood in front of you." Genevieve said nothing. She just nodded. And for once, her silence felt like the right kind. 2 months later, Frame 127 launched. It wasn't a press stunt. It wasn't corporate performative fluff with velvet curtains and champagne flutes. It started quietly, online. A submission form, a short video from Andre explaining the idea, and a mission statement. "We don't need permission to belong. We just need space to be seen." The first week, they got 300 applications. By the second month, 3,000. Black, brown, indigenous, undocumented, trans, disabled voices that the photography world usually filtered out like unwanted noise now had a place to be raw, sharp, brilliant. Andre didn't pose for the spotlight. He stayed behind the lens. But the name Andre Collins began to travel in different rooms now. Not whispered, not questioned, recognized. One afternoon, he sat at his desk, reviewing applications when he got an alert. "Genevieve Olcott interview goes viral again." He sighed. The headline played loud. "Former philanthropy board member speaks on her viral Forbes cover and the photographer who changed her life." He clicked. The video started mid-sentence. Genevieve sat in a studio, calm, controlled, but different. "I didn't like the photo at first," she said. "It was too honest. Not the version of myself I like to present. I looked real. And that terrified me." The interviewer leaned in. "What changed?" Genevieve breathed in. "I saw the moment through his eyes, Andre's, and I realized I'd never asked myself what he saw when he looked at people like me. What I assumed, what I dismissed. That picture didn't just capture a smile, it exposed a system." Andre paused the video. He didn't need to hear the rest. It wasn't for him anymore. It was for the people who still thought the diamond necklace made her untouchable. For the ones who didn't know how close she came to erasing someone like him with just a glance. Then came the hate mail. Because of course it did. Anytime a black man took up space that wasn't assigned to him, someone tried to shrink it. They called him opportunist. Said he was exploiting her. Accused him of getting lucky. Some even suggested he'd planned it. That he baited her. That the whole thing was some social justice con job. Andre didn't respond. He didn't need to, because now he had receipts. Hundreds of photographers were being paid, published, and platformed through Frame 127. Young artists from neighborhoods like his who no longer needed to shrink themselves to be let in. But the message that stuck with him most wasn't the angry ones. It was a letter, handwritten, on lined notebook paper. It read, "I saw your photo in Forbes. I'm 15. My school says I'm not focused enough for art. They took my camera away last year because they said I was failing. But I took my cousin's phone and shot this. I hope you see it, because you saw her and made the world look twice. Maybe you can see me too. Ariana, Bronx, New York." He flipped the page. A printed 4x6 photo was taped to it. It was a shot of a man sitting on a stoop, staring off into the rain. The puddle reflected the sky upside down. The world looked inverted, haunting, honest. Andre smiled. He framed it. Months passed. And then, one morning, Andre got an invitation. A major gallery in LA wanted to host a retrospective. Behind the frame, the work of Andre Collins. He almost turned it down. He didn't want to be the story. But when he flew to LA and walked into the gallery, he saw what they'd done. Room after room of his work. From street corners to elite galas. From backyards in Brooklyn to political rallies in DC. But at the center on a tall, dark pedestal under a focused light was the Forbes cover. No plaque, no headline, just the image. Raw, silent, bold. A small boy stood staring at it. He looked up at Andre. "Did you take that?" Andre nodded. The boy smiled wide. "My mom says I can be a photographer too. I thought I had to be famous first. But she said you weren't famous before this. You were just there." Andre knelt beside him. "That's the secret," he said. "You just have to see what others miss." Later that night, the gallery held a small panel. Andre sat beside a historian, a photojournalist, and a civil rights attorney. The moderator asked him, "What would you say to the younger version of yourself? The one at that gala, before the photo, before the cover?" Andre thought, then said, "I'd tell him don't flinch, because they're going to try to make you feel like the floor isn't yours, like the moment isn't yours, like you're not allowed to take up light. But that camerate's not just glass and buttons. It's proof that you were there, that you saw, that you mattered." The crowd was silent. Then applause rose, slow and real. Back in New York, a week later, Andre walked into a coffee shop. Same one where he met Genevieve that first time. She wasn't there, but a framed photo hung near the counter. One of his, from frame 127. A shot by an indigenous teen named Mateo, two grandmothers dancing barefoot in the desert light. He smiled. The barista looked up. "You're him, right?" she asked. "The guy from the magazine?" Andre looked around. He could have denied it, could have said nothing. But instead he said, "Yeah, I'm him." And for the first time it felt right to say it. The end.